of America and to the republic for which it stands, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Liberty, justice for all.
And I will have, since Ms. Searles is on a delay, I will have her lead the Texas pledge, please.
Thank you, sir. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll have a roll call. I would like to introduce two new members to our board, both representing the city of El Paso. We have Ms. Jackie York, who is here with us, and Mr. Tannyberg, who is here via video conference. So welcome to, or
Hi.
welcome, or condolences, or whatever we do. We bring you on this board. So, I'll go right quickly to the agenda. The first item on the agenda is public comment. Has anyone signed up for public comment to this board?
No, sir, they have not.
Is anyone in the audience, would anyone in the audience like to address this board? Hearing none, I will close item number 1 and go to item number 2. You have a set of minutes in your packet. Do I have a motion on the minutes?
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Mena and a second from Ms. Searles. Is there discussion on this item?
Do you have a second?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Searles. Is there discussion? Hearing no discussion, is there anyone opposed to this item? Hearing no opposition, this item carries. We can move to item number 3, which is review and approval of financial reports for December 2020 and January 2021.
Board members, you have received the financial balance statement for December 31st of 2020 and January 31st of 2021. If there's no questions, you will see that there is no overages. On the last page of the one for December of 2020, there is still litigation encumbered funds of $429,826.89. For the January balance sheet, we did have an overage under cleaning. It was under over budget under building janitorial of $825.68. This is due to extra cleaning that we are having to do to continue to allow the public in our building with the extra spraying, and of course the cost of cleaning supplies have gone up. So you will see this. So I present the balance sheets. Again, you have received these in your packet earlier. If there's any questions, I'm available.
Okay, you have the balance sheets in your packet. Are there questions from the board? Hearing no questions, I would ask for a motion for acceptance of the financial reports.
I move to approve the financial report as presented.
Second.
I have a motion from Ms. Searles and a second from Mr. Mena. Is there discussion? Hearing none, is anyone opposed to this item? With no opposition, we will consider this item passed. We can move on to item number 4, discussion and possible action on contract for disaster recovery services.
I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Stone. Disaster recovery service, we must have a disaster recovery plan with the appraisal district. It is a comptroller rule. We do have one. We have a vendor that helps us establish that. So this, we already have a contract. This is a renewal and an upgrade. It is something that they look at every time they come in and do a methods and procedures review of the appraisal districts. If you don't have it, it can mark you down, and we could fail our review. So I'm going to let Mr. Stone take over and tell you a little bit about the particulars.
Board,
Mr. Chairman, can you all hear me?
Who's that, Fred?
Hello,
Hello?
Mr.
Can you all hear me?
Mr.
Who
Is
is
that
it?
Freddie?
Mr.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Stout. I'm calling in on the phone. I just wanted to let the record show that I'm here.
Mr. Stout.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stout.
We'll make a notation on the record, Mr. Stout, that you've
I'm going
joined.
to have to do roll call anyway. I forgot to do that. So we'll do this after Mr. Stone.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Board, we have currently been contracted for disaster recovery services with Premier Technology Advisors for the last 4 years. Basically, what it is they take a backup of our critical computer systems. It's stored off-site at another location, and if something were to physically happen that our current data processing was destroyed or we got malware or something that shut us down, we can just fail over to their service, and they actually run like if it was here, and we just connect to them through the internet, and we basically have very little downtime, and we can function that way. And we've been doing this for the last 4 years with them. Their contract, the current contract, is going to run out on April 30th. It's kind of difficult for us to get this disaster recovery service because for our hardware virtualization, we're using Microsoft's Hyper-V, and that's not the industry standard. But it's cheaper, so that's why we've been using it. But it's hard to find services that will let that environment function in a disaster recovery capacity. So we went out to get quotes from 3 companies, Premier Technology Advisors again. We also looked at Spectrum Technologies, and we looked at a company called A&M. As you can see in the backup, Premier Technology Advisors had the lowest monthly charge of $6,000. Spectrum was higher, and A&M declined to quote because they said it would be too expensive and we couldn't afford it. So staff is recommending that we go ahead and sign another contract with Premier Technology Advisors for 4 years. They're eligible under the DIR, so there's no bidding or RFP required. Their solution will also provide off-site backup and immutable backups, which is something new for us. What that basically means is a backup is taken that nobody has the ability to alter it. And that includes us. So that's very useful in like ransomware situations because nobody can go in and corrupt the backups so that we can't come back. And so that our staff was very excited to have that capability. In addition to the $6,000 per month charge, there will also be a one-time setup fee of $4,000. We have $55,000 in this current year budget already, but the monthly charge is higher than what we were paying. So we're going to be short $10,722 in the current budget, and we're asking that the board allow us to take that money out of contingency to make up the deficiency.
Mr.
Okay,
Miller, I have
thank
two
you,
questions.
Mr. Stone. Mr. Mena, you have a question?
Yes, Mr. Stone, why are they charging us a $4,000 setup fee when we're already set up?
We're set up with a different solution. We're changing the solution from what we were using before to something different that gives us the additional capabilities of the off-site backup, the immutable backup, and also more reliability on the disaster recovery side.
So it's like a new, it's not a continuation of what they've been giving us. It's a new program. It's new, so they have to go in and set it up and reconfigure it to our software.
So they'll charge us $4Gs to do that?
It's the technology is expensive.
It's different technology and it's better technology than what we were using.
And what was the previous monthly charge?
It was, I believe, $4,268.
$4,200, and they went up to $6,000. Yeah.
Okay. Are you happy with them?
Yes,
Yes, yes.
yes, very.
Are there questions from the board? Mr. Berg?
There you go. My question is, have we tried this out to be sure that it actually does back up? I mean, are we
not, but we get a
we're
one
paying
month.
these people?
We
Have
get
we,
a
do we
1 month.
periodically
Mr.
go
Stone.
in there?
Yes, sorry.
Mr. Berg, can you repeat that, please?
Sure. My question is, we're paying for this. Do we know that it actually, do we periodically go in there and see that it's backed up and make sure? What I don't want is catastrophically have something happen and then for us to go back and ask them and they go, oh, well, it didn't work. So do we check it?
Yes.
Sir.
How often do we check it?
Twice a year? Twice a year. We check it twice a year. And this company, we have a 30-day trial period that they're going to bring us up and reconfigure us with the new software. And if it doesn't work, we can back out of the contract, and they'll ensure that that 30 days gives us assurance that it works, and then we'll be able to test it periodically.
So,
Yeah, it's not like I'm looking to get out of the contract. My fear is that we have some sort of malware that infects our system, and we go back and we find out that there's a problem, that it didn't work.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why we're getting this option with the immutable storage. So if the malware affects the current environment, we'll have the immutable backups that no one can change, so we can always go back to those.
And this company doesn't have, this company is a
we keep that
secure,
in-house?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead. We keep that in-house? Is that backup? We keep that
No.
hard
it's
copy with
outside.
us?
We're not allowed to keep it in-house per the comptroller's rules. We have to have an off-site. You'll find that there's a
Okay.
lot of comptroller's rules and state statutes that we have to follow, and this is one of those. To have an
No, it's
off-site.
okay that it's off-site. It's just that we need to make sure that if, God forbid, something were to happen, that it actually has all the data on it.
And this
Because-
this company does, we've worked with them before, and they've been a very secure company. Very comfortable with them. They have all the bells and whistles of security. With having the extra option in there, it will be able to allow us, if for whatever reason, a malware or a ransom, will have our data available.
Are they insured, bonded? Is this company insured and bonded?
I believe they have to be on the DIR.
I would certainly hope so. I
Yes.
think it's important for us to
They are.
evaluate how big it is and how much insurance it is.
Mr. Miller?
Mr. Taylor.
I might have missed this, but I'm not clear on your statement about the ability to back out of the contract.
There's going to be a 30-day period where they're setting it up because, like I said, this is a brand new, for us, environment that we're going to be set up in, not the same one that we were in before. So if within the 30 days they cannot get it to work, and that's an issue sometimes, then we can back out of the contract and then try to find another vendor that,
Okay.
that we can be successful.
So we basically have a 30-day opt-out option.
That don't lead to any money being lost, does it?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir. It does not.
All right,
We're out without paying them anything.
okay.
Are there further questions from the
I
board?
got one more.
Okay, Mr. Mena.
So what worries me is that we have to come out with $10,722. Why, if we leave it the same, is it still going to work?
Yes, sir. What would happen is if we, no,
We can't continue with
Oh.
the existing contract because
No.
we already canceled it. Because it had a 60-day lead time to be canceled.
well, and the existing contract didn't have everything that we need going forward, which means we could possibly have failed on our maps review because it didn't have what is going to be required.
Oh,
So that's why we have to upgrade. And I apologize, I misunderstood your question.
you're fine.
So I had
You're fine.
answered incorrectly, but yeah. We have money in the budget. We could pull it from another line item.
And that was
or
my
take it out
next
of
question.
contingency.
Where are we going to get this money from?
We have a contingency for these type of things. It is something we have to have, and we do have a contingency. If the board will remember, we were not allowed to increase our budget last year, so there's expenses that are happening that we were not allowed to anticipate last year because we kept the budget the same and rolled it over. So these things are going to start popping up,
Okay.
unfortunately. But it is something we can take it out of contingency, which that's what contingency is for. It's kind of like our 1-year savings that we can go in when something does come up that we have to replace that was not able to be budgeted. Or again, we can go back to our budget and take it from another line item and just not purchase another piece of equipment. But taking it out of contingency ensures that we can move forward with it.
Thank you. Are there further questions from the board? Okay, prior to considering this item, I think I need to return to item number 1 briefly, just so I'm not, all right, I'm sorry, item number, or the roll call, just so that we know who's voting. So if you would, respond to the roll call so I can't tell exactly who's on the phone. So, Mr. Avalos, Kyle Avalos? Are you here, Freddie?
I'm present. Present.
Okay. Mr. Berg is here. Ms. Lucero? Ms. Lucero is not here. Mr. Mena?
Here.
Walter Miller is present. Ms. Searles?
Here.
Mr. Stout?
Present.
Mr. Taylor is here. And Ms. York? Okay, the only one we are short is Ms. Lucero. Okay, thank you for that, and I apologize for missing that at first. Now we can consider this question. Do I have a motion on this item?
Move to approve.
I have a motion from Mr. Mena. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Taylor. Further discussion on the item? Hearing none, is anyone opposed to this item? Hearing no opposition, then we will consider the item passed.
Thank you,
Thank
board
you.
members.
We can now move to item number 5. We don't have a, do we have a taxpayer liaison report?
The taxpayer liaison officer, Tracy Carter, is here if the board members have any questions for her, but she has no report. Do you?
It's been a quiet month, so I have nothing to report this evening.
Thank you. Does anyone have any?
What's for dinner, Tracy?
Popcorn.
Does anyone else have any questions for our liaison officer? Hearing none, we can forego this item. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Item number 6 is the chief appraiser's report.
Yes, sir, and I will
Rhonda?
keep this short. I just wanted to let the board know a few things. With the governor's edict to have everything open back up 100% and no masks, we have decided at the appraisal district, we are following the CDC guidelines and the local health official guidelines. We are still requiring masks of all employees and all visitors into the building. As we go into our reappraisal listing, we're going to continue as a reappraisal session to have masks. We are continuing the heavy sanitizing, the heavy cleaning, the spraying that we do throughout the day on the elevator buttons and the door handles. And we're going to continue with that in the morning spraying of all the officers. We are going to allow more people into the building as we get into our protest season. But we are, at this point, going to stay with the masks, and I felt the board needed to be aware of that. It is my understanding that it is an option of the property owner or the business, and so to keep everybody safe, because we are expecting a large group of protest. That leads into notices of value will be going out beginning. The first batch of notices of appraised value will be going out April 2nd. And then periodically, they'll be following suit until the majority are out by April 8th. Hopefully, the majority of them will be out, at least 95% of them. The preliminary tax roll will be available to the taxing entities, preliminary appraisal roll, on April 30th. So that will be going out to all of the taxing entities. We will be meeting, myself, David Stone, and James Thompson. We've already called to schedule either phone conferences or meetings like this one with the taxing entities, the cities, the county, the community college hospital, and of course the school districts, letting them know what we're foreseeing in the protest season. We'll also be meeting myself, Tony Delgado, and Albert Molina the first full week of April, with our state legislators, our representative and our senator, to go over some of the issues that are happening at the state legislative level, see what's going to be happening for appraisal districts and taxing entities. We are putting together, you will notice here in a couple of weeks, a new page on our website that will allow a property owner to get on the website, put in their information. They'll go into a call list, and an appraiser will be able to call them back, trying to eliminate walk-ins, that we can just handle information over the phone. We are also in our area right outside of our mapping. It's kind of our customer service area. We are transposing that into a self-service. If any of y'all have been to some of the banks lately and they have the self-service tellers, we are doing that here. And that is to eliminate the walk-in traffic, so we have more room for the actual protesters. The ones who file their, that sounded bad, didn't it? People will be protesting, I will say that. But this will give us room, because we're expecting probably anywhere from 10, 15,000 more protests this year. So we need to have room in the building for those that file their protests. We'll be hearing them informally and formally. Just to let you know, on the property value study, remember I mentioned that had come out, and we were below the 95 percentile on El Paso ISD and San Rosario ISD. We have submitted all of the documentation required to file protests to the State Comptroller's Office, and we are asking that EPISD be raised from the 94.5% they indicated to 96%, and the San Rosario ISD to go from 90.51% to 95%. And the documentation, we feel very strongly, will show our case for that. So as we find out more from the Comptroller's Office, we'll give you an update. And Mr. Chairman, that's all, unless the board members have questions for me.
Thank you, Donna. Are there questions for our Executive Director? Chief Appraiser, I should say. Hearing no questions, thank you very much for your report. We have no executive session scheduled for tonight, so we have no need for items number 7 or 8. Being said, there are no more items on our agenda. We will have commence our board training immediately after this meeting. Please stay and get your board training. It's going to be very important for us to go through that. We are prepared to do that. So at this point, being no further items on the agenda, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion from Mr. Mena. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second from
Freddie.
Mr. Avalos. Thank you very much. Is there discussion? Hearing none. Is anyone opposed to the motion? It is now 5:24 in the afternoon, and we are adjourned. Thank you very much. Now, we have the board training.
Yes.
Do we just stay here?